Welcome, listeners, to another spine-chilling episode of The Horror Story from the Far East, where we delve into the strange, the mysterious, and the downright terrifying. Today's story is one that will make you think twice before attending a company event or sharing personal details with strangers. It's an eerie urban legend from Japan, known only as the text message stalker. It all began at a company welcome party, the kind of event where people were supposed to relax, have a few drinks, and get to know each other. The evening was going smoothly at first. The woman who had recently joined the company was enjoying the light conversation, the laughter, and the casual atmosphere. Everything seemed perfectly normal until he showed up. She hadn't noticed him before, but suddenly, out of nowhere, a man she didn't know slid into the seat next to her. He wasn't part of her team, nor had she seen him earlier in the night. What immediately struck her was how disheveled he looked. His eyes were a bit glazed over, and his smile was wide, too wide. At first, she thought he had simply had too much to drink. After all, it was a company party, and people were letting loose. Maybe he was just tipsy and harmless. But then he leaned in much too close, his breath heavy with alcohol, and blurted out, "I've always thought you were cute. You're just my type." His words hit her like a slap. She froze, not sure how to respond. She barely knew this man, yet here he was, invading her space with a drunken-sounding declaration of affection. At first, she tried to laugh it off, assuming that maybe he didn't realize what he was saying. Maybe he was just drunk, she thought. But something in his tone and the way his eyes locked onto hers made her uneasy. This wasn't the casual, stumbling flattery of a drunk. It was something much more intense. The woman smiled politely, tried to excuse herself and move away, but the man wasn't having it. Every time she shifted in her seat or turned her attention to someone else, he would inch closer, as if determined to keep her focus solely on him. It was becoming harder to ignore the uneasy feeling creeping up her spine. He kept talking, his words growing more bizarre and uncomfortable. "You know," he said with a strange grin, "I can tell we're meant to be together. Why don't we leave and hang out somewhere quieter? Just the two of us." His tone wasn't playful, it was possessive. The woman felt her heart race. She tried once again to diffuse the situation, telling him she wasn't interested, but he ignored her completely. Instead, he reached out and grabbed her arm, his grip a little too firm as he whispered, "Come on, don't be shy. I know you want to give me your number." At this point, she realized the man wasn't just drunk. This was something else. His persistence was growing, and he wasn't slurring his words like someone who'd had too much. He was fully aware of what he was doing, and that terrified her. For the next hour, he continued to hover around her, bombarding her with questions about where she lived, whether she had a boyfriend, and why she kept ignoring him. He wasn't loud or aggressive, just eerily calm and unnervingly fixated. He wouldn't leave her side, and the more she tried to escape the conversation, the more he pressed her for her contact information. Her anxiety was building. The party that had once felt fun now felt suffocating. She looked around, hoping someone would notice and intervene, but everyone else seemed too wrapped up in their own conversations. The man, meanwhile, was becoming more insistent, more demanding. "I'll get your number, don't worry," he said, his smile now replaced with a cold, determined look. That was the final straw. She couldn't take it anymore. Without drawing attention to herself, she quietly excused herself under the pretense of going to the restroom. But instead, she grabbed her coat and bag and left the party early, her heart pounding, her mind racing with fear. What should have been a harmless company gathering had turned into a personal nightmare, and she couldn't shake the feeling that this was far from over. After leaving the party, the woman thought she'd finally put the unsettling encounter behind her, but the sense of relief didn't last long. The next day, as she tried to focus on work, her phone buzzed. She glanced at it casually, expecting just another mundane message, maybe from a colleague or friend, but what she saw made her stomach drop. "Hey, I didn't get your number last night, but I figured it out." Winking face emoji. Her blood went cold. How had he gotten her number? She hadn't told him, hadn't even spoken to him outside of that uncomfortable party. The thought sent a wave of fear through her. Who had given it to him? Had one of her coworkers been tricked into sharing it? Or had he found some other way to dig into her private life? The messages didn't stop there. The next one came almost immediately after. "I think you're ignoring me. Don't worry, I'll keep messaging you until you reply." Smiley face emoji, her heart raced. It wasn't just what he was saying, it was the tone. The casual, almost playful way he texted her, as if they had some sort of relationship, as if she owed him a response. She knew now this wasn't a harmless misunderstanding. His persistence wasn't driven by alcohol, but something far more dangerous: obsession. By the afternoon, the messages had become more erratic. "I'm starting to get a little upset now. But just kidding!" Tongue out emoji. "Don't make me wait too long." He was trying to sound playful, but the underlying pressure was unmistakable. Each message felt like it carried more weight, as if he had nothing else to do but wait for her to reply. She could sense a disturbing intensity in his words, almost as if he were watching her reactions, or lack thereof, from some unseen place. As the hours dragged on, her anxiety grew. The continuous notifications became unbearable. She could barely focus on her work, distracted by the buzzing of her phone. As the disturbing messages piled up, she considered reporting the incident to her superior. If he sent one more message, she promised herself she'd escalate the situation. It was getting out of hand, and she didn't want to be caught off guard if his behavior worsened. Her fingers hovered over her phone, ready to take action at the next buzz. But then, surprisingly, the messages stopped. Her phone fell silent. No more vibrations. No more intrusive notifications. At first, she didn't know how to feel, relieved or unsettled. The silence was jarring, but she wasn't about to complain. Maybe he had finally gotten the hint. With a sigh, she put her phone down and tried to shift her focus back to work. For the first time that day, she felt a small sense of normalcy returning, and she buried herself in her tasks, hoping the uneasy silence would last. The afternoon passed without incident. She finished her tasks, packed up her things, and headed for the subway. After arriving home, she dove into her evening routine, letting the familiar rhythm of household chores distract her. Once dinner was finished, she settled into her favorite spot and logged on to the online forum she frequented, a safe space where she could remain anonymous, hidden behind a nickname, sharing stories and banter with a tight-knit community. But tonight wasn't about casual conversation. Tonight, she needed to unload the unsettling encounter at the party and the flood of harassing texts that followed. The weight of it had been gnawing at her all day. Her fingers flew across the keyboard as she began typing, eager to let it out, to get advice, to feel less alone. As expected, the responses came pouring in almost immediately. Her community rallied around her, offering sympathy and support. Some shared practical tips for dealing with the situation, while others were horrified by what she'd been through. Encouraged by their concern, she mentioned the disturbing messages the man had sent. When a few users asked to see the texts, she hesitated. Would sharing them make her feel more vulnerable? Exposed? But the need for validation, for others to understand just how creepy this was, outweighed her doubt. With a deep breath, she uploaded the screenshots. The texts were just as unnerving on screen as they'd been when she received them. "Hey, I didn't get your number last night, but I figured it out." Winking face emoji. "I think you're ignoring me. Don't worry, I'll keep messaging you until you reply." Smiley face emoji. "I'm starting to get a little upset now, but just kidding." Tongue out emoji. The forum's reaction was swift and furious. "That's beyond creepy. How does he even know so much about you? You need to block him and report this now. This is seriously messed up. He's not going to stop." As she scrolled through the comments, a sense of relief began to wash over her. The fear that had gripped her all day was loosening, and for the first time, she felt like she had a community behind her. She wasn't alone in this nightmare. But then, her phone buzzed. Her heart sank. She glanced at the screen, hoping it wasn't what she feared. But there it was. Another message from him. "Hey, why aren't you replying? I'm still waiting." Smiley face emoji. Her fingers hovered over the phone, her pulse quickening. The familiar dread settled back in, heavier than before. The man was relentless, like a shadow she couldn't escape. "You haven't responded yet. What are you doing?" "Just sitting there." Winking face emoji. Her heart skipped a beat. How did he know she was sitting in her living room? She hadn't told anyone. Was he watching her? Anxiety tightened its grip on her as she got up and glanced around her small apartment. She thought back to the forum comments urging her to block his number, report him, call the police, but the fear that he was near, maybe even watching her through the window, paralyzed her. Her phone buzzed again. By the way, love the pink curtains. They're cute. Smiley face emoji. Her blood ran cold. Pink curtains. Her living room curtains. There was no way he could know that unless he could see her. Panic surged through her. She leaped up, yanking the curtains shut. But shutting them didn't help. The suffocating feeling of being watched only grew stronger. Another message appeared on her screen. It's so quiet outside. No cars on the street tonight, just us. Smiley face emoji. Her heart thudded in her chest. He was right. The street outside was eerily quiet. Almost too quiet. Was he out there? Right now? Hands trembling, she frantically typed a message back to the forum. He knows about my curtains. He's watching me. What should I do? The replies poured in almost instantly, a flood of panic and concern from the forum members. Call the police now. You need to leave your apartment. Stay calm, but do not open the door. He might be outside. She could feel their fear echoing her own, but it wasn't enough to calm her. The messages kept coming, but so did his. Another buzz lit up her screen. Why are you closing the curtains? I can still see you, you know. Smiley face emoji. The world around her seemed to close in as she stood frozen in her living room. He wasn't just texting her. He was watching her, right now. Every movement she made felt exposed. Desperate, she typed back to the forum. He says he can see me. What do I do now? Should I call 110? The fear in the forum had reached a fever pitch. People were pleading with her to act, to contact the authorities immediately. But her fingers were numb as she stared at her phone, unable to take the next step. Then another message appeared. Looking outside won't help. You should check your door instead. Smiley face emoji. Her breath caught in her throat. She slowly turned toward the door, dread creeping up her spine. Was he there? Just outside? Waiting? The phone buzzed again. I'm not going anywhere. Not until you open the door. Smiley face emoji. Her pulse pounded in her ears as she stared at the door, terrified of what might happen if she opened it, or worse, if he forced his way in. Desperate, she typed one final message to the forum. He's at my door. I don't know what to do. The forum exploded with frantic responses, urging her to call the police, to run, to do anything but open that door. But then, silence. 10 minutes passed. Suddenly, a new post appeared on the forum. It was from her account, but something was off. The tone was different, colder, more detached. It's fine now. Everything's fine. Smiley face emoji. The forum exploded with confused replies. Users questioned the strange, emotionless tone of the message. What had happened? Had she finally contacted the authorities? Had she opened the door? Another reply from her account appeared. Don't worry about me. I'm just sleeping. Sleeping face emoji. Everyone was confused. That didn't sound like her at all. The punctuation was different, the casual tone, the sudden calm. None of it matched the woman who had been terrified just minutes before. Wait, is that really you? Someone asked, but the replies stopped. There was nothing but eerie silence from her account. The forum users, confused and frightened, kept refreshing the page. Hours turned into days, but she never came back online. The woman who had posted about the terrifying stalker, who had shared her story of harassment, was gone. Only her final chilling message remained. It's fine now. I'm just sleeping. Sleeping face emoji. And just like that, she vanished. No more posts, no updates, nothing. The story of the text message stalker spread like wildfire. People online began to speculate. Did something happen to her? Who was the stalker? To this day, no one knows what really happened to the woman. Some say she fell victim to her stalker, while others believe she simply stopped posting. Whatever the truth is, this story has become an eerie urban legend that continues to terrify people, reminding us all to be cautious about who we let into our lives, both online and offline. That's all for tonight's episode of the Horror Story from the Far East. Whether this story was just an elaborate hoax or a true horror is for you to decide. But remember, next time you receive an unexpected text, be careful who's on the other side of the screen. Stay safe, everyone. See you in the next episode. Bye!